If you're familiar with games like Foxhole or Ruiner, then I have a new tasty tidbit just for you. Now, as I'm sure some of you are aware, there have been a whole abundance of new games coming up and bits and pieces, and some of them are better than others, some of them are absolutely amazing, but there are always a few diamonds in the rough, and I think I've found one of them that you might be interested in. So there was a team called Neon Giants, and basically they've jumped on the whole cyberpunk bandwagon, but this time it's a little bit different because they've created this new isometric shooter that looks kinda cool. So if you aren't familiar with series like Helldiver or Ruiner, basically imagine a top-down shooter, kind of like third person, kind of a bit like Diablo, except instead of high fantasy, you've got like guns and grenades and you use cover mechanics, and there's a lot more bullet action in these kind of games. Generally, they are very high octane, there's a lot of action, they're usually run and gun style, and they're a lot of fun. So I should probably mention the game, which would be useful, and it's called The Ascent, and it's set in, as already mentioned, a cyberpunk world. So the idea is that you're basically this guy running around in this big corporate skyscraper in the sky, and it goes up into the galaxy, and you're enslaved, and nothing good has happened to your whole life until there's this big major incident that happens that changes everything. And from there, it's basically your local block is under attack and you must go off and fight and save the day with your friends, and this is where the journey begins. But I'll be really honest, the story in these type of games generally doesn't really interest me. It's the pew pew pew, the big explosions, the flamethrowers, the lasers, the cannons going off left, right and centre that really gets my mojo going. And looking at the trailer and the footage of the gameplay, it doesn't seem to be letting its side down at the moment. Now, I just want to mention before we go any further, because this feature is really, really important to me, and I think it's very, very important to the general ecosystem for these type of games, and that's the fact that this is an online co-op. However, it is 1 or 2 person, and on Steam, it's saying that it's a shared and split screen experience, but I'm guessing that's only for local, but again, we'll have to find out more when it comes out. But with the online mode, I would imagine you'd have your own screen, but saying that, if you ever played any of the Darksider games, the co-op shooter, that was also split screen online, so it was a little bit different, but I don't imagine that would follow kind of the same suit, because that was kind of the minority rather than, the traditional way of doing things. I would also like to mention that this is a next-gen title. It is coming out on the Xbox Series and also the PC, not the PlayStation at the moment. But yeah, this is designed for next-gen consoles, and you can see absolutely why. The model detail is absolutely phenomenal. When I had a look at all the aliens and the different details and the micro details and just the scattered rubbish and loot all over the floor, the signs, the individual writing, the detail on this is absolutely phenomenal. It blew my mind away for something that was just isometric, which you aren't actually getting a full kind of scale view of what's going on. It's not like your first person mode zooming in and everything, but they've intricately painted everything, and just the whole place looks like a dirty run down citadel of a building, and I think that's really what they've gone for. And I just that life was just a big pile of doody. You're in a cyberpunk world of doody. The tower is just you've not been living the greatest life. The other cool thing that I really liked about the whole ecosystem was that you got the feeling that you are in a world. It's not you're the Gordon Freeman you've landed and everyone wants to kill you. No, you're on a journey. You've got kind of the people who live there around you, but you're also obviously gonna run into the bad guys who are stopping you from trying to get to your objective. There may be more to that, I don't know. I'm just going by what I see on the trailer at the moment, or the gameplay footage, but yeah, I thought that was another nice little detail to mention. Now, if you're like myself and you do like those ARPG elements where you can just pick up armor and upgrades and bits and pieces, there is a skill system. There's a bounty system, which I don't really know much about. There's an armor system, and there are augments. So one run is not going to be like the others. I guess you can have different playstyles and like snipers and blowing up and grenades and all those bits and pieces, and you can play the way you want to, as most game companies would coin it. So in terms of actual pew-pew-pewness, so the actual weapons, because I know everyone wants to know about that, I had looked through to find out as much as I could. So from basically various gifts and pieces, I saw that they had like a standard assault rifle, there was a small Uzi thing, I found a flamethrower, looked like some sort of rail cannon, there were grenades, and in terms of skills, there was like a force field that looked like it was slowing down bullets that came into it, and also some sort of dash, but I don't know if that's kind of an ability or just a standard dodge mechanic that you have to use to kind of get good at the game and not die. But aside this, there isn't much more I can give you aside from what you can see on the trailer. I can tell you that the release date is the 29th of July, so you won't have too long to play it. The game time, I think they've said that it's going to take up to 20 hours to complete. And yeah, you can pre-purchase it on Steam at the moment. I don't know what the Xbox price is, but it's £22 on Steam at the moment, or roughly about $25. But there you have it. I just thought I'd raise your attention to it. Let me know what you think of it, as always, and I'll have more games and trailers on the way for you to take a look at soon. But have a great week, and speak to you later.